Yo, what is going on today, YouTube? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today, I want to focus a little bit on the items and the trends on the upswing that we saw last week. We had 6 XPL sets, and 3 items really stood out to me. One got a pretty sizable buff, and it's no surprise after seeing like just the raw numbers of it, why it's getting bought. Another one is a trend that we've seen slowly start coming its way, and now it's officially the item in that role. And then the other one is taking over the entire game, and I talked about it yesterday with Assassins, and we'll start off with that one. Soul Eater. Soul Eater is officially in a spot where you are seeing it in solo, mid, jungle. Heck, even in ADC we saw it when there was an assassin plate over there. Obviously, hunters aren't going to really build it, but that item has officially taken over the entire game, not even just one role. And I think when we really take a look at the numbers, it is not surprising why. I just want to show you guys the numbers of why it is so powerful. These are usually the 5 options that assassins have to be able to rush. And when you look at the numbers, you look at just like the cost of these items, Soul Eater sticks out as the cheapest option, and it is by a little bit. I mean, 50 gold to Golden Blade, 100 gold to both Jotuns, and then 200 gold to Shadow Drinker, and another 400 gold to Trans. And on top of that, you look at just like the variance this item kind of has and who can kind of use it and what makes it so good. Some characters want it for the trading potential. Some people want it to be able to trade poke. Some people want to just be able to be full health when they're walking through the jungle. You look at this item and it's power, lifesteal, pen, cooldown, ability lifesteal, which is kind of like an overlooked thing with this item. There's not ability lifesteal in the game other than this item for physicals, I guess. Magical gods have it, but this is the only way to get ability lifesteal. So unless you're an auto attacker, you're not going to be able to lifesteal from any other item other than this one. And then if you really want to get Jotuns, the Jotuns has ability lifesteal and movement speed when you get low. Yeah, okay, that one is one too, but that is 2,800 gold. We're not talking about that right now. But yes, technically you're right. But Golden Blade, you look at this. 25 gold, 20% attack speed, 7% movement speed, and then the Golden Blade effect, obviously. I mean, power's in favor of Soul Eater. You're getting pen, you're getting cooldown. Golden Blade is like a farming item. Soul Eater is almost a farming item because you clear faster with power and pen and cooldown, all 3. And then it also gives you sustainability. It's also cheaper compared to Jotuns. Probably the one item that really competes with it. You're getting a little bit more damage with Jotuns, but you're also getting a little bit more cooldown, but you're getting the sustain side of Soul Eater, and it's a cost thing. 100 gold might not seem like a lot, but it really does change the perception of items. This is like a pretty big difference. And a lot of times you're kind of just building these 2 items together anyway, so it's not that big of a difference. But Soul Eater and Jotuns, these 2 items together is just such a good spike. 4,300 gold, high power, high pen, cooldown, lifesteal, everything you want is just in these 2 items. And then you slap a bluestone on top of it and you have an MP5 sustain, and there's just no way that you're going to not be super effective and one of the strongest players on the map. Shadow Drinker, it's such a cool item, but it just doesn't have the stats or the passive to really back it up comparatively to Soul Eater. And then we've seen a couple trans, and this is really just a trend with Set builds trans, and that's about it. And it's because he built Sigil. You can't build Sigil into Soul Eater because you won't have MP5, so it'll just run out of mana. So you have to start trans with Sigil, and Sigil is just so busted on Set in the late game that you're almost forced into it, and you don't really make that great of use out of the Soul Eater. Jotuns is just proud, so you can have just more abilities to be able to be more slippery and have more movement speed and more ultimates. And that's kind of like why you're going Jotuns trans and not trans Soul Eater on Set. But this item just is so powerful, and I know we talked about it a lot yesterday, and you guys commented a lot on it, and it helps for a lot of flex potential. But I think this item specifically, not necessarily the Assassins in mid, nothing else, Assassin solo, ADC, I think this item just needs a nerf. It doesn't need to be anything specific. I think a gold nerf, a power nerf, pen nerf, anything would be fine, but this item needs to eat some sort of nerf. Soul Eater. It needs to get nerfed. It's too strong. The next item I want to talk about, or I guess couple items, it's Devourers and Aussie. Devs has officially taken over as the end-all be-all ADC item. Last week, when there wasn't a mage ADC in duo or an assassin, every single player except 2 bought devs. By players, I mean gods or games. Yeah, 2 games had Aussie, and it was the same god. You guys have a guess? Maybe. I don't know. Half of you were probably, actually 90% of you were probably wrong. The only god that built Aussie last week was CERN, and he built it 2 times. One time with Coast and one time with Net. And I think it's just because you want to be able to bully a lot with that character. You don't want to be falling behind. So that little extra early game potential that Aussie has is something that you can kind of play into. And he also doesn't need as much lifesteal at all points. He can just go into his green stance. So it makes a little bit of sense that Aussie is the item opted to for CERN. He also doesn't need the flat pen because he has a pen shred in his kit. So it makes a little bit of sense, but I think CERN can go even Dev's gloves and be fine. but it makes sense that he's the one building Aussie. It's like him and On Her are the two that come to mind for me. But Devs is officially taken over. This is your notice that build Devs. Don't build Aussie, build Devs. It is officially the ADC item. Aussie, not it. That was a much shorter one. The third one will also be a little bit shorter. Breastplate of Valor. It got technically double buffed if you include the glyphs, but Breastplate of Valor is now 50 gold cheaper, and it also provides 10 more MP5. On top of that, both of the glyphs got buffed, and I think this is the part that really slipped by me and made me not think that the Breastplate buff was going to be as big as it was. But if you look at both Breastplate of Vigilance and Breastplate of Determination, they both got buffs. So this was the Breastplate of Valor buff. This is the Breastplate of Determination buff. Increased protections per stack from 5 to 7, and then this one is the basic attack damage reduction after ulting is now 25% instead of 15%. Both of these are insanely huge buffs at all points in the game. Well, mostly early game for this one. This one is more of a late game one. But this one is now, each time you're hit by an ability, gain a stack of 7 protections that corresponds to the damage type you're hit with. Once you reach max stacks of both kinds, so this item is giving you 28 instead of 20, 28 protections on each side, you get a burst of 20% movement speed and double your protections gained by the following, or by the effect for 8 seconds, which is 56 procs of each. In the early game, if this is timed well before going into a fight, it's something that you can't always time well, and it's not super simple to make it like that. But even if we don't include that, I'll talk about it after. But you will have 56 magical protections, and you will have, what is that, 111 physical protections as soon as you finish this item. You can go this item literally first and have 111 physical protections for 8 seconds just from items. So yes, that is a little strong. And I think even before it got buffed, I mean, even 20 plus 20 is 40, 95 protections you're going to be getting. Maybe this item was just underlooked beforehand, and now that it's got its buff, it's officially just in a, this item is busted. It's going to be kind of permabot. I think on top of the mana buff that this got, making it so you actually don't run out of mana with it, it will feel a lot better at the early portion, and it's a fine rush item. And now you also have this glyph that is absolutely insane in the early game. And then Breastplate of Vigilance, it kind of overlooked a little bit just because of how strong this one is, and this one is kind of being permabot because it's that strong. But 25% auto attack reduction for 5 seconds is nothing to scoff at. You stack this with with Spectral, and they have crit, and that's like their only damage. This item kind of forces a kin size out for that 5 seconds, because if you don't have kin size, all that damage they're going to be taking is reduced by 1/4, and that's not even including if you have Spectral or if you have just a ton of other prots on top of it. This will reduce a lot of auto attack damage and make it so if you are playing into a double auto attack comp, this could be just an auto buy item at this point. But yeah, Breastplate of Determination, it's getting bought in solo. I think we saw it in a jungle game or two, and then it's getting bought in support. This item is insane, fitted into your builds. It is busted. But that is a little meta catch-up, a little items on the upswing after last week's SPL games. Check out these items. Try them in builds. Soul Leader's obviously just going to be easy to fit into builds. Breastplate is going to feel a little funky. You can literally rush this item in solo and second item after a Thieves or Prophetic in support, and it'll feel fantastic. Honestly, try it in jungle too. I think this item could take over jungle and make it so jungle can build hybrid. And I know we hate hearing that, but jungle might be able to build hybrid with this item. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.